Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Talking Triathlon, a podcast that is about triathlon. It's in the name. My name is Tim Ford. That guy there who is doing the Lord's work, he's up at 5 o'clock in the morning, English time to record with his good friend Tim, is James Bale himself. Jimbo, mate, how you going?
I'm not too bad. For 5 in the morning, I'm doing all right, I think. I got out of bed at half 4, made myself a warm drink, and here I am, mate. Enthusiasm bubbling over, ready to talk triathlon before I get a train to Bristol and later.
I love the fact that like 5 a.m. James is the exact same like level of non-enthusiasm as it could be
As I
any
was
time of day.
speaking, I knew you were going to say that. Yeah. No,
It
you're
is
going to be
this,
doing some heavy lifting this episode. I'm getting my brain working back
mate, what
into
do
the
you,
day.
I tell you, I
Got a
love a
long
morning
day ahead.
podcast. It is actually one of the things that sort of upsets me a little bit this time of year because I do like, because we normally, again, peek behind the curtain. We normally record my 6 a.m., your 8 p.m. or whatever it is. And I quite like it. And now it's like looking like it's going to go back to my evenings. I'm like, God, I actually really
Yeah,
like the
this time
morning
of year,
records.
it I was looking at it yesterday, and it gets almost impossible to do the your morning, my evening, doesn't it? Because you're only 9 hours ahead of me, so it's like
Yeah. I can't remember what we did
my
last year because
my 6 in the evening is your 3 in the morning.
I feel like we've been doing mornings for ages. I just can't remember. But anyway,
No,
that's an off-air
we'll figure it
conversation.
out.
Mate,
The summer shift.
I'm part of the James Bell Club.
What have you done? You're
I'm
going bold.
staring down the barrel of 40 years of age next year, and I was just today swimming, and I was 2K into my 3K set, and my hips just gone, just
Oh,
gone.
really?
I couldn't even kick, mate. I honestly couldn't. It was so painful swimming. I'm like, what the hell has happened? So I'm sitting here right now recording with a hot water bottle on my hip
Is it
because
like front of the hip flexor area?
front side. So yeah, I think it's hip flexor.
Yeah.
Honestly, I do
Welcome
not
to a
know
hip
what's.
flexor tendinopathy, mate. Next 6 months of your life will be spent managing
Yeah,
that.
but normally that's a what's the not this is an acute one because I noticed it suddenly. Don't they say that if you notice it
Yeah.
suddenly, it's maybe it's just tight. But honestly, I've never had that before, and I thought I'm swimming. I'm not
Yeah.
even
Yeah,
like
that's
doing it.
strange. That is strange. You must have been
Yeah,
kicking particularly hard.
and I was doing sets of hundreds, or hardish hundreds. But man, it's just like one thing after another. My body just feels like it's falling apart at the moment. So anyway,
Yeah, I hear, I feel
if you
you.
want to hear our war stories, you head to patreon.com/talking triathlon. You get the inside scoop and all that stuff. Bonus monthly shows, WhatsApp group, Strava group, all the good stuff. Supports the podcast. We thank everybody who is in there already. We got in that WhatsApp group with them, there's like 70 something people. It's pretty great. Uh, really, really it
Yeah, it's
breaks
amusing me every day at the moment.
breaks news to me half the time. And again, one of the things we're finding out, getting a bit of an insight into some of our listeners' browsing habits based on the random ads they've been served before and after the podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah,
amazing. That made
made me
me chuckle
chuckle.
for a day.
What's going on, mate? I know that it is early. What's happening in Bell's world? How's the body? I saw you did your 25K run. What else has happened? Did you done other races lately?
Yeah, I suppose I missed you last week, didn't I?
Mm.
No, no other races. I'm just predominantly biking every day at the moment. Still being very, very careful with my hip. I'm running once a week with the athletics club. Did a set of 800s the other day, which was fun on the track. I feel like because I'm biking so much, I can put a lot into that one run and it's not risking anything particularly. And yeah, everything seems to be going in the right direction, mate. Biking, running, lifting weights, not swimming. Perfect. Suits me. Looking at a 20K run in France the week after my birthday.
Lovely. Good to hear
Yeah.
that you've
How
bounced
about
back.
you?
I was away last week, so thank you very much to you and Andy for doing the show, mate.
Ah,
I've actually
he's a good sub, mate. He's a good sub.
he certainly is. He certainly is a much more talented athlete than I am as well. Uh, I've taken up a new sport, mate.
I heard.
Yeah, maybe that's to do with my, my little niggle at the moment. I don't know. I've started surfing, mate. I've started doing surf lessons.
When you said you'd taken up a new sport, I was just glad it wasn't golf, if I'm honest.
I can't do golf. I did golf a fair bit when I was younger. I took it pretty serious, and I was never a good golfer, but I could at least hit the ball straight and stuff. And these days, it's the same with me with pool, where I used to be okay, and now I can't do it, so I just get really frustrated. So I just
How's surfing then?
Surfing's good, mate. I actually really, really
Yeah.
like it. Got another lesson booked this Sunday, so three in a week. Gonna be bloody out there doing tricks and loops and you
I
know,
thought it kind of came with the national territory that you would be a surfer anyway.
not every Australian, firstly, grows up near the beach. I grew up in the Blue Mountains, which is a long way from the beach. Yeah, I think that's probably definitely not the majority of Australians can surf, but swimming, I think, is probably one that would come with the territory. I think a lot of Australians can swim, but no, I'm trying to become that cliche, mate. I figure it'll make me a little bit more cool because I need all the help
Beach
I can get,
tips,
to be
all that.
honest. Yeah, exactly. Look, let's get into it for this week because look, you guys did an excellent breakdown of all the racing that happened over the last couple of weeks. I don't particularly want to give much analysis over it. I do, however, want to just give some thoughts, have a bit of a discussion with you around the T100 in Singapore because uh, this thing that we keep hearing about, right, is this, it's the narrative. It's the biggest season of the year. You know, it's going to make triathlon a broadcastable sport. Although I feel like maybe they've moved a little bit away from that with more of a focus on amateur racing. But what did you think of the actual package of the experience? Did you enjoy watching T100 Singapore? Did you watch T100 Singapore? Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, I absolutely did watch it. And of all the racing that I watched that weekend, because I didn't catch the Super League E, which probably would have been the best broadcast package because
Hmm.
they tend to do it really well. Of all the racing I did watch that weekend, the T100 was the best broadcast by a mile.
Yep.
Not only in terms of broadcast quality, but the commentary team were excellent. I didn't get bored at any point during the race. There was the balance between what was happening and a bit of lighthearted chat and a bit of, a bit of a just they just get it right in terms of commentary, and I enjoyed it. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's probably areas they can improve. I'm not saying perfection has been found in triathlon broadcasts, but they're certainly where they are head and shoulders above others.
I think there's a lot I agree with you, and there's a lot I disagree with you about there. I think that in terms of the actual production quality, with the exception of Super Try, which I think we just have to at this point put in its own category. I think it was the best. I think the cameras they had were really good. I think the commentary team they had I really liked the commentary team. I thought it was really well balanced. I just found this format so boring, mate. And I'm actually starting to really question if it is just a flaw of non-draft racing because nothing about either race was entertaining to me. I honestly could not get I couldn't get excited for it. Like and it wasn't this is no disc we saw some incredible performances. Kate Wolf, Hayden Wild, very, very deserving winners. But man, when the gaps are that big and it's just basically individual time trials, it's there's I don't know what I'm watching for.
When I said I didn't get bored, I was talking more about the commentary side of things.
Let's talk about the
I
racing side.
The racing side of things, I enjoyed the women's race a lot. I don't know why, I just did. The men's race, I found it was a bit of a trudge. The
Mm.
gaps were large and it was just a bit of a trudge watching that race. Nothing particularly interesting happened for me on that day during that race. So yeah, we were talking broadcast, commentary, broadcast, excellent. The race itself, long course, you need something to happen in a long course race that makes you go, oh, this is really interesting, to make it a race that really captures you. And certainly on the men's side, that didn't happen. I don't know what it was about the women's side, particularly that made me so engaged, but the women's race, I enjoyed a lot more than the men's.
No, again, I was so amped for both of them, and really just I found myself like almost having to force myself to watch. It's one of those things where you're like, I want to like this. Why am I not? This is everything I wanted. Why am I not? Why am I not getting the satisfaction out of it? And yeah, it's really just left me. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
A couple of years
It's
ago, that's where I would have been with the Ironman broadcasts,
mm.
thinking, well, there's an Ironman, I'm going to watch this because I should enjoy this. I want to like this. Now I'm just like, no, I can't do it. Can't
Well,
do it.
I will put
Even
up my
though,
hand and say
though really it's an obligation for the podcast to watch things like Oceanside. It just makes me rage.
I didn't finish either 200 race. I honestly watched probably the first 2 hours, maybe half of the bike on both of them, and just went, oh, I don't want to do this. I can't commit this much more time. I had other things I'd rather be doing, and I went and did other things, and I sort of casually checked the tracker and socials and was like, yep, that's what I thought would happen. Um, I'm just, I guess I'm, and I don't mean to, I do not think this is a T100 issue. Like, I think, the team at the PTO are actually doing all the things right. I'm just wondering if it's the actual format or as in the sport itself, because, you know, I've had that many discussions with people about, how much the 20-meter draft rule matters, and I get it, but it's just like, I look at Oceanside, right? Very good field, I think. Very bad broadcast, but a much more entertaining race. I think that I just wish we had the T100 broadcast on the Oceanside race, and I think that would have been exceptional. And again, I don't know the solution. I don't know whether it's just this is just what sport is, but it's the T100 race reminded me of an F1 race where Verstappen's so far ahead that it's just like turn it off. I don't want to watch it. And I'm concerned if that's already this. And I know they say Taylor Nipp wasn't there for the women's race, for the men's race. So I don't know what the missing link is. I am honestly concerned about this season, early already. Um, yeah, I don't know. I am literally. It's so. And again, I'm really not trying to criticize. It's nobody's fault. This isn't me going, the PTO sucks, the athletes suck.
No, no,
It's
because because you can compartmentalize whether a broadcast is enthralling and captures you as a sport, and also the athletic performances we saw on the day. And they are two totally different conversations. Watching Hayden do what he did was remarkable, and a real step in a direction for him that is going to be something to behold as the season rolls out. You can say on the women's side, had Taylor Kate Wolf, what she did was remarkable. Some of the races we've seen where Taylor Knibb has dominated hasn't been particularly enthralling as a viewer, but
mm,
watching that level of sporting prowess play out is something to behold again. And so those two conversations can be, watching Michael Schumacher in his pomp win every race, or not every race, but win most races in a season for year on a year, wasn't particularly enjoyable as a viewer. And I was a big F1 fan back in those days. But, you know, it was sporting greatness being
mm.
being sort of shown to us all.
I will say one thing about Hayden. I'm definitely calling bullshit on the heat for both the Olympics and Tokyo as the reason he didn't finish as strong as he would have liked, because I reckon Singapore would have been significantly hotter than both, and he absolutely dominated. So I think maybe he just probably went a bit too hard in both of those races on the run to start with. So,
Yeah.
uh, but yeah,
I like watching the almost surprise for Kate Woff as she did as well as she did. I
yeah, the
like it
finish
when a
stuff's really
performance
good.
takes an athlete by surprise like that because you can see that real genuine kind of like, oh fuck, I've won this thing.
That's very good. You're right. Exactly. That is a special moment. And I think they've done a really good job on the socials in particular of highlighting that. Like that's what I like to see, is like the sort of the big thing we're seeing. I do like that a lot. But yeah, man,
Yeah,
I
I prefer
honestly,
those real genuine reactions than some over stoked up weird pantomime rivalry between two athletes that doesn't really exist, or all that stuff, which is fun for it in itself, but it's not for me.
well, look, yeah, anyway, I wanted to say it. I've got a platform that I can say it on, and I am just like questioning. I honestly am scratching my head right now because on paper, I mean, literally, I think if you go back a couple of years ago, this podcast or when it was MX, and we talked about our wish list, literally everything we wanted was in that race, and now we've got it, and I'm like, I'm not happy. I'm not satisfied, and I know that that's again, I'm as probably
But
confused as people listening. So
but when does the sport get to a place where I mean we always reference F1, but it's worth saying not every F1 race is exciting.
they're correct,
And
exactly.
yet
They're not.
the fans go, I'm an F1 fan, I watch it and I understand and I internalize that not every F1 race is going to be exciting. And so when I see one that doesn't particularly inspire me because it's just Japan, for example, it's very difficult to overtake. Who's on pole normally wins. But, you're still every time when you see a race that doesn't engage, you don't go, well, that was really boring. I'm not sure whether it's going in the right direction. When do we get to a point where we think some races are going to be exciting, some races aren't going to be exciting? That's just the sport, and yeah, I'm a fan of it.
I think. And again, here we go. Let's just open this. I really feel like if we look back at the most exciting races in the T100, there's one exception to this. The one exception being the San Francisco three-way battle between Kyle, Rico, and Martin Van Riel. All of the most exciting races, and I actually think it was what you're discussing, was before they brought in the contracts. I think to all of those sort of PTO events we had, Ibiza, where we had Max Newman chase down Kristian Blummenfelt, where we had Milwaukee, where Jan Frodeno chased down Christian again and Magnus pulled off the course. And then we had, Dallas, where Taylor Knibb was off the front. She started walking and Ash Gentle ran past her. Like, I think to the most exciting events we've seen were all pre this contract. And again, we're opening a whole kettle of worms here with, athletes not showing up. I mean, we're going to probably talk about the fact that Taylor Knibb got called out on the broadcast by Lucy Charles's manager for, and to be honest, this is what we all heard, but sort of, didn't want to believe it, I guess, because, the idea was that something else had gone on with Taylor Knibb. But, when you've got your big names not even showing up because they've got another race of another series that they're prioritizing, it's like, yeah, I'm wondering whether they just need to actually go, because I mean, an interesting point that I've had with a few people has been that the reason it is like this is because the fields are so small. Is that when you've got the 20 athletes, you see these big gaps. When you have 40 athletes or 45 athletes on a start list, you're less likely to see these bigger gaps. And I thought that, look, I don't know if that's the answer, but I can certainly see that that idea becoming a bit more okay. Because again, I look at races like Oceanside and stuff where, yeah, okay, not the women's race, but the men's race had a much bigger field. It was friggin' awesome, mate. So maybe that is it. Maybe it is just this case that the 20 athlete thing, it didn't work last year. One race in it already doesn't seem to be working this year. Maybe it is a case of going, okay, we actually don't need these contracts. Let's just do what we did. Let's go to bigger prize purses. Yeah, you get it in. You can come race if you want, or you have to get invited to race it, but you're racing for a lot of money and see if that incentivizes people. Because yeah, I don't know. That's a whole other thing.
We are seeing some enormous start lists on those Ironman Pro races, aren't we?
Yeah. Oh, mate,
Like
I
really
honestly,
enormous. Look at Texas, for example. I know we'll
Texas.
get there,
Yeah.
but God, they are. It's a big start list.
Oceanside, mate. Look at Oceanside. There's even on a lot of these. I mean, I was just going. I think it was Tripole put up the start list for Valencia. It might have been Valencia 70.3 or whatever one. Jean Lahair's on there, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I had no idea that Jean Lahair was playing. I'm like, I'm now excited for that race. Whereas, yeah, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about how things. It's like the series that I'm more interested in, which I didn't expect to be. The broadcast is the worst, and this series that has the best broadcast, I'm just not feeling it. I'm just not
I,
feeling
s- I
the
saw an interesting post the other day because I put a lot of effort into moaning about the Oceanside broadcast or the Ironman broadcast in general last week, because I think it's really important that broadcast is so bad.
it's
I
so
I
bad.
really do. It's so bad, and I don't know what it is. I don't know whether, honestly, I think there might be a difference in vibe between the way America presents its sport and the UK kind of mentality and sense of humor, maybe, because it just grates on me so hard at how, on a cellular level, how boring it is and how uninspiring it is and how vanilla and neutral it is. Now, although that's the case, I have completely forgotten what I was going to say. What was
You
I going to
just
say?
you're criticizing the
The
Oceanside broadcast.
broadcast. So I put a lot of effort into create. Oh yeah, the post I saw was that I can't remember who it was. It was one of these funny triathlon accounts that is genuinely funny, and I follow. And Andrew sent me this to me after we'd had our rant about Oceanside, and they said, "Can't believe we're seeing so many people moaning about." I'm paraphrasing because I
Paraphrase,
can't
yeah.
remember, but I can't remember seeing so many people moaning about the quality of the Ironman broadcast when the T100 has didn't get a single date of their races right at the
Yeah, I did
start of the
see that
year, and
too,
every single
actually.
race is every single race date has changed, which valid criticism of the T100, and especially like pros. Yes, they've got to arrange their season, they've got to arrange their training, they've got to arrange their travel. Really important when you're a pro athlete to have all that nailed in. And weekends, if it's just a movable feast and things are changing, nightmare. But I would say even more so for an age grouper who's got to book time off work, who's got to, commit to flights and commit to paying for accommodation, and it might be their only holiday of the year. That's such a valid criticism that surely getting your calendar nailed down before you release the dates, just have vagaries, just have races are going to be TBC. Don't put the dates in. And then if it's going to change, and that's a really valid criticism, but it's a criticism from a different side. We're talking about the pro side of the sport. The commentary is a big, big part of that. And if the commentary is unbearable to watch, then you're going to push people away. This is more of a an age group type problem for me. The weekends changing. Yes, it affects the pros a lot, but on a much smaller amount of people than the hundreds signing up to race those age group races. And yeah, that's a problem as well.
Yeah, and it's also a pattern of behavior, right? Like this isn't the first time it's the same thing. We've seen it happen enough times, and like even just that announcement, right? Ironman were like, boom, here's our season. And then it was this like drip feed of like, this is it. Now and then the stupid thing even is there's publicly available. Like last year, remember, before they even announced San Francisco Triathlon, T100, there were signs around San Francisco saying this event's coming. And then I think something happened similar with, is it Vancouver or Toronto, wherever the T100 is in Canada? Same thing. There's all this publicly available information, but the T100 still isn't announcing it. And then they announce things and the dates change. It's wild. And I wanted to go back to the Oceanside broadcast because I've literally watched 10 minutes. There's one of the things I love that Ironman are doing this year is they've got these 45-minute highlights packages where they're sort of putting together the best bits. So I put on the Oceanside one because again I've seen the stuff. It was the wrong time of day for me to watch it, but uh, at the start of the race, it's Crowie, and I love Crowie. I don't know if you are one of my literal sporting heroes. Like you are
Yeah,
a
yeah,
reason.
totally. I'm gonna come in on this as well, but
When they
yeah,
started the race, when they started the race, I will try to do an impression of Crowie commentating the start of the race because I've got the words here. He goes, "They're off," and what an amazing sight that is. I was like, this has got to be the most boring.
yeah,
Like, not
yeah,
like
yeah.
not even like, and because I think the American woman, it might have been Dee Dee, I'm not sure, but this American woman's like, here we go, we've got the start, like they're ready to go, and they're off. What an amazing! I think I commented. It said,
Yeah.
is somebody standing there with a gun to Crowie's head, making him do this?" Because it was.
It's a symptom. It's a symptom of a setup that doesn't work because we said a few weeks ago that they've got like a bit of a charisma problem in their broadcast team. So they brought Lola. I will caveat this by seconding what you just said. Craig Alexander, one of the greatest athletes we've had in the sport, a pioneer of triathlon, someone that I've got a lot of time for and a lot of respect for as an athlete and what he's done for the sport. Legend. Now, to solve a charisma problem, though, bringing Craig Alexander in is not your solution. And also, someone made a comment that it sounded like he was trying to be quiet because of the time of day it was, so as not to wake people up in his house. Now,
Well, then go out.
whether or not that's true, if that was to be true, then don't have him on the broad. If he can't do it well enough
Yeah.
because of a certain set of situations, then just he can't be on the broadcast team, can he? He can't be. It's like me saying, I've got a heart operation to do, but can't do it well enough today, so I'll half-ass it.
Yeah. I honestly, mate, I saw that and I laughed out loud. I was like, because I'd heard everybody saying how bad the broadcast was and everything, and I turned that on and I thought, yeah, I get it. Like that's it. I've had I think I'm gonna watch it without the commentary because I just went, I can't face this. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
grim.
Yeah, too many adverts as well. Just too many. Too many. Like,
Too
I
many.
don't know what it is about American TV, but I don't think that level of advertising would be tolerated over here. There would be there would be a revolt about, but we just don't need advertising at that much. Like, what are you talking about?
I would literally pay actual real money to get the broadcast without ads.
Yeah.
Like genuinely. And I don't even enjoy the broadcast, but I find the ads so off-putting. Like to the point where next time Elizabeth comes on, And you are trying to get Elizabeth on the podcast because I obviously she has all the tips that we all need to hear about. I mean, this podcast exclusively interviews pros, and
Coach's Corner with Elizabeth.
I think Elizabeth needs to come on the show because at this point, I think she's the most famous triathlete in the sport. Uh, yeah, it actually like I have a visceral reaction. It's like fucking hell, another
I
ad.
know.
Like
So, same. Do you think those brands know that the adverts they're putting on the Ironman broadcast and the intensity and the
frequency,
oftenness, yeah, regularness of them
frequency.
is doing more damage to
Yeah,
those
man,
brands
I will never. I
than
will. Ne
good because it's dry. For fuck's sake, I
I,
know.
I feel like I have a personal vendetta against what is it called, Tridot, or what? I'm like I don't
Yeah.
really know it, but I do not want to use your product because you are
No.
enabling this
Yeah.
horror. It's so much. It's yeah. It's anyway. This is a tale as
Yeah.
old as time, mate. There's not a lot more to be said about it, I think, other than look, I don't want to. I'm not trying to be that sooky, whingy, negative guy. I want this to be good. I'm just from both fronts at the moment. I'm so uninspired by the broadcasting, and no, that's not. I don't. I'm so uninspired by the broadcast from Ironman, and I'm so uninspired by the format or whatever it is with T100 at the moment. And it's just that I don't know what the answer is because they've tried one thing, it didn't work. Then you go, this is what they need to try. They do it, and here we are, and it's not working. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what the solution is, mate. I just think, firstly, I mean, the other last thing I want to say is God damn it, get get Lionel Sanders into a T100 race, please,
That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
please. Like just offer him all the money. Here you go, Lionel. Just name your price. Come do one. I'd love to see it so much after what he did to those guys. Yeah, so good. Anyway, enough of that. What should we move on to, James? After our little mini rant, 20 minutes of ranting,
Should we ever talk about something that isn't triathlon?
please.
Beth Potter finished top 15 of the elite women's 10K field at the European Running Championships on Sunday,
Okay.
which is remarkable, I think. She ran her 10K in 32:16, which was a minute off the winner and 5 seconds ahead of Leono Perot.
Well done, Beth Potter. I
Yeah.
remember when Beth Potter blew onto the scene in particular was because she went and broke the 5K world record, road record. Remember she
Mm.
did that? I think we spoke to her on the podcast just before or just after she had done that. She came race the Arena Games and then went and did that. And yeah, mate, this is something that I've actually been discussing with a few people lately for different reasons. Was just how good triathletes are. Like when you actually look at who was it that was talking about this? I heard somebody saying that if you look at what Kieran Perkins, who got gold in Barcelona, gold in Atlanta, and then got silver. I think he got in the Sydney Olympics. If you look at his 1500-meter times and compare what he swam 1500 meters in to what people like Alistair Brownlee, Javier Gomez, Richard Varga, these guys swim 1500 meters in, they would have made the final. They would have made the final of the 1500 meters at the Olympics with the times they're swimming in a triathlon. If you look at the times the guys are now running in a sub 30 minute 10K after a foot, I don't think people realize the level now of pro triathletes. Like they're not just like good triathletes. They are good swimmers, bikers, and runners. And Beth's performance here, 15th in a stacked field like that, running that fast shows just like, yeah, two triathletes in there, right? Leonie Perriot as well. Both very, very good
Yeah,
runners.
it really sums it up, doesn't it? The quality of the pro triathlon field, being able to just rock up and come that high up in the European 10K. These are running specialists. These are people that they might do one bit of cross training somewhere for a little bit of injury proofing, but they are running only really in terms of training. You're not spending any time concentrating specifically on any other sport other than maybe some strength and conditioning to help them along the way. But they are just running all the time. These are specialists. These are the top of their game.
Mm.
And for her to put that kind of performance in that kind of time just shows where she is as an athlete. And I'm particularly interested in a week and a half's time to see how Alex Yee gets on at the London Marathon because I think that's going to be I'm going to be up there as a spectator, as you know, deferred my entry, so I'm not racing, but I'm going to be on the source. So I'll give him some loud cheers as he goes by.
It's also interesting, I think, because if you look at Beth Potter, her run has always been the thing. But if you look at her recent racing, she's been outrun by athletes like Cassandra Beaugrand and stuff. So it's also fascinating to see, I suppose, you talked about those pure runners, that the impact that the swim bike also has on an athlete, because if you're able to run this fast in a straight pure run race and then not be, I mean, it's kind of goes back to also maybe what I was saying earlier, where it's just that the strength of fields are so good in triathlon that is that close. But yeah, I have been surprised in the last couple of years where it does feel like Beth's run in a triathlon has softened a little bit, where she's not, if I had to pick the best runner in women's short course at the moment, it's not Beth Potter. It probably is Cassandra Beaugrand, right? Or so
It
it's
shows the
interesting to see.
importance of being a triathlete, doesn't it? You can be this high quality a runner as a standalone runner, but the triathletes, the key to success as a triathlete is being able to put all three together and
Mm.
how strong you are at the back end of that race, having done a swim, having done a bike. And like you say, right now, Cassandra Bogard has got that like absolutely nailed. She just seems everything she touches seems to turn to gold.
Something's flicked in her head, I really feel,
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
mean,
I love it.
I know Beth, not Beth, I know Cassandra a little bit. I've mostly through Super Try and stuff, and I've always felt like if there was a barrier, it was just that the mindset sort of thing. And man, yeah, watch what she did at the E Games recently, where she just dominated. Like it's yeah, I'm yeah, she's gone to another level. But I mean, the other
Yeah.
one as well that is interesting is Gwen Jorgensen, right? Where Gwen was this super runner and tried to make the marathon sort of which I loved. I love that she chased that goal, didn't quite make it, but has come back and has found the sport has moved on so much that yes, her results are absolutely on the improve. But we're yet to see her be really competitive at WTCS race, and it just shows that maybe that age of just being a really good runner, much like many athletes have said, yeah, as what you say, right? It's about being that really well-rounded swim bike runner now, and uh, yeah, they're really good athletes, mate.
Yeah, and Alex Yee has said that with the London Marathon coming up, he was on a podcast recently and he said it would have been very easy for him to just get lost going into this year if he hadn't changed his triathlon goals and uh, and given himself something different to focus on. And I think that's really interesting as well, that you can get to that level. We've seen Cassandra win gold at the same event that Yi did and just absolutely turbocharge her into triathlon. She's just like boom, boom, boom. She seems like you say a flicker switch, this confidence, this momentum, and she's just riding that wave. Whereas Alex Yee has obviously got a slightly different mindset. He's had that objective for so long. He's crested, he's peaked, he's got his gold medal, and for him, it hasn't spurred on like right. I'm just going to go and he's like, right, I need something else to focus on for a moment and this London Marathon journey is it. And I'm really interested to see how he does there. It'd be super cool.
An interesting observation from me when you talk about those two athletes as well, though, and I can't put my finger on the reason for it, is I've always seen Cassandra Beaugrand as a triathlete who's a very good runner, where I'd probably always visualized or seen Alexi as a very good runner who does triathlon.
Yeah,
It's
a bit
it's a
more
weird,
Beth Pottery.
yeah, exactly. It's a very weird distinction. Like, I'd love to see Beth Potter have a crack at the marathon. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if a Beth, like, that's why hearing she's gone and done a 10K, I'm like, yeah, that's it's Beth because she's a runner who does triathlon. Whereas I've never felt that way about Cassandra. But it is a really interesting observation that they have taken this very different sort of approach. And even comparing it to, the last Olympics, the 2020/21 where Kristian and Flora won, where Kristian just went all in on but similarly chased different goals. Didn't just go, I'm going to keep doing the WTCS thing. I'm going to go do Ironman. I'm going to go, got an Ironman world title, got a 70.3 world title, won a T100 race, did the sub seven. He went and did all these other things as well. It's just, it's a very different landscape 3 years later than it was, even back then. And it's fascinating to see the different approaches athletes take. But yeah, I'm loving the Cassandra dominance. I'm very happy that Beth had that great race, and I am so excited to see Alexi run this marathon and see what he can actually lay down because, yeah, the man can run.
Man can run. You know who isn't doing much running at the moment?
Who's that?
Sam Laidlow.
Tell me about it, mate.
He's a little bit sick, or he has been. He's released an update around his health issues, which have afflicted his 2025 season so far. He went to he went to his sponsor Red Bull's training center thing. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, Red Bull's got this training center with a load of sports psychologists and things like that. Um, and he went there to try and get to the bottom of what his issues have been this year, because obviously he's had a disappointing performance at the Ironman World Championships, and then he thinks there might be a mental barrier in his recovery.
Mhm.
And I'll quote him here. He said, "I think the mental aspect and the kind of psychology side of it will become more and more important, and less results come as less and less results come back negative." This is he's having tests for various issues and things. We kind of discussed that what we can put in place in certain situations, because in Kona last year I put an incredible amount of pressure on myself to perform, and I kind of just shook it off and went forward, even through though the disappointment was huge. I do think that has had an impact on how my recovery has ever since, despite kind of feeling like I relaxed quite a lot in the Australia in the off season. I think that is the root cause of my issues, but there are things that play on your mind when I'm unfit and struggling to get back to it right now. The season is going to be tough, and I'm at a point where I'm actually questioning whether I can carry on the sport, because that's how bad it has been. So yeah, rough times for Mr. Laidlow, mate.
Yeah, I've never had a conversation with Sam Laidlow. I think apart from congratulating him at the finish line in Kona when he came second, I've never spoken a word to him. But I was with Belinda Granger on the coast last week for the Phoenix camp, and she's really close with Sam. She's really close with Sam's partner, Miller, and she was giving me some insights. And she's like, "Tim, this is like serious. Like he's really in a bad way." And I think from the outside, I was probably just like, "Oh, it's just a no." But it does sound like it's pretty legit, which is upsetting. But I mean, yeah, I hope he's okay. I've really come to
Yeah,
this point where I
yeah,
really
yeah,
appreciate the what he brings to the sport, and I hope this isn't something that means that he walks away from it. But I mean, here's another sort of interesting sort of thing to put on it. He got that world title so young. So if you tie in the fact that you've had these health challenges, but you've already sort of achieved the pinnacle, you can also understand why, almost similar to why I'm so impressed with what we're seeing Gustav Iden do. When you've already done what you need to do, like at such a young age, and something goes wrong, yeah, it can be hard to, even just find the motivation to come back. And I'm going to talk about Gustav Iden now rather than Sam Laidlow, but I think it kind of applies. Is there's that video last year where Gustav was training with, I think it was doing a run session with Lionel, and he just said he was at a spot where he was just so grateful that he could do this, like his body would allow him to do these things. And I thought that showed a lot of growth in Gustav to be like, he's not just doing it or he's not just chasing the thing anymore. He's actually taken a step back to appreciate what he can do and how he's out, like, why he does it. And I think that's why we're seeing him, yeah, okay, he wasn't where you probably would have expected him in Oceanside, but it's that positive step. And yeah, it's probably going to take a long time. And I assume and I hope that we see Sam Laidlow take the time. Maybe it is just to write this year off, right? Yep. Sam Laidlow
yeah.
doesn't race this year, but get right
I
so
mean,
that
we
you can come back.
it shows that they're not superhuman across the board, isn't it? They're
Mm.
humans. And when you put in a performance and you bury yourself as deep as he did in Kona, then the effects on the body can be quite shocking. And he's going through a process to try and find out what he's done. Um, we're just used to seeing performance after performance after performance. Look at Kristian Blummenfelt, for example. He just touch wood. He seems indestructible. Just boom, boom, performance, recovery. Maybe he's not performing at the best at some races, but he's always just comes back, comes back, comes back. And Taylor Knibb, for example, just repeating performances, and you get it into your head, don't you? That these people are just like they're the genetic advanced of us, fighting my injuries constantly and my illnesses. I know what it's like to be grateful to be able to do a run session. Um, but then you see something like this, you see how deep he went in Kona, and how not only physically but psychologically damaging that must have been to have had that lead on the bike and then just to capitulate on the run. And he dug himself a hole. And I hope he finds out what those issues are and what gets to the bottom of it, because flailing in the dark and not getting answers must be a particularly unpleasant place to be.
Do you know who it kind of reminds me of a little bit? And I certainly hope it doesn't go that way. Is Pete Jacobs. Again, maybe
Yeah,
people
yeah,
listening don't remember Pete Jacobs won, I believe, the
yeah,
20,
yeah.
2012 world champs, 2012 world champs.
And then
And
just never came back again, really, did he?
it was a series of weird health things. He couldn't work it out. He tried a whole bunch of different things to try to fix it. You know, literally just seemed to sort of, yeah, like go through this mystery and never came back. And I don't we often talk about the Pete Jacobs as like, oh, you don't want. I mean, I think I've said on the podcast, I could see Chelsea Sodaro going the Pete Jacobs way, and I don't like that. That's become a sort of expression or way of talking about things. But I could see something like that happen to Sam, and I really don't want it to. Like, I don't want it to see it
No.
happen to anybody. I don't want to see a single athlete, whether I love them, hate them. I don't really hate anybody. No, I don't know them, but I don't want to see these athletes who do so much to try to make the sport that I love, that I was just talking about, I'm sort of struggling to find the entertainment in, but these people have made me so entertained. Struggle isn't good. But I mean, the other thing with Sam, right, is we talk about the Kona. Yep, the Kona thing was really hard last year, and I've called bullshit on the past saying he was playing games. But look at his track record, right? Got heat stroke in Lanzarote, tore his calf in Roth, got COVID twice in the lead up to Nice, one Nice. Then the next year, I think something else. It's not like he's had a smooth journey either. So the fact that he's had these other things along the way mean that get into those super peak performances that he has had must be even like the toll is higher. And then you go to the whole athlete biological age, right? The athlete age. An athlete like Terenzo Bozzoni who walked away from the sport. Like, no, where'd he go? Honestly, he just vanished after his horrible truck accident. But I used to talk with Chris about Terenzo, and he'd say Terenzo is younger, but because he was doing such hard training from such a young age, his athlete age is older, and he's probably not going to have the longevity of some of the athletes who maybe did start later, but have been more moderate. And I wonder with these guys like Sam Laidlow's, like the Magnuses, these guys who are coming straight into long distance sports at a young age and are blowing us away with their performances. We're yet to see the end of that, and we're yet to see what that will do for the length of their career because we're in it right now. And maybe
You
there is
see
a
it in your
cost.
normal life, though, don't you? With the
Yeah.
upswing of uptake of endurance sports, you see all these people that started running 2, 3 years ago, and they're just bouncing along, and we're there like, oh, my hip's gone, oh, my calf's gone. Do you know what I mean? It's because we've been training for so long. I mean, I've been training since I was 13. Probably not
Mm.
sensible, but you see it day to day. But interesting point then this that Sam made as well that they tracked this ECG of his heart for 24 hours, looking at his heart rate variability data, and it basically showed that his vagus nerve is not stimulating at all. So basically, when he's trying to sleep, he's not actually resting. So that he does it's not may not be the root cause,
I'll
but
be
that's
good.
really interesting, isn't it? That he's just like almost overstimulated constantly, and so when you're getting that recovery, he's not getting that recovery,
Mm.
which must be a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck. Well, again, fingers crossed. I hope he comes out of it because yeah, it's horrible. But yeah, maybe it is just a cat. Look, again, it's personal experience. Joe last year decided he had to just had to stop. And we had that conversation. I need to just stop because I'm behind the airport. I'm trying to chase the performance that I know I need to get to, and it's compounding. And but we saw what he did in New Zealand this year. I think that maybe that's what Sam should do. Just go, look, I'm just going to be chasing my tail all year by trying to get ready for a race in October or September. It's already basically April, May. Just take the pressure off. Let's focus on getting fixed properly, not taking shortcuts, not trying to rush back. Take the time I need. Yep, it sucks. I'm sure his sponsors will be okay with it because he does so much stuff off the racetrack. He's such a personality; they'll still add value. But just say this is what he needs to do for his longevity because yeah, I don't want to see him walk away at the moment.
Bang on, bang on. What next?
Texas, Ironman
Going to
Texas.
Texas.
Let's go to Ironman Texas because this start list came out and my days. It's a pretty good race, pretty good field.
It's hefty, isn't it? We've got
Oof.
27 pros on the women's side, and then where am I? And we have 64 pros on the men's side. These are big start lists, mate.
Yeah, big start lists, and
On the women's side,
not just randoms
sorry,
either.
go ahead.
There's some,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
some names.
Well, the women: Kat Matthews, Taylor Knibb, Chelsea Sodaro, Penny Slater, um, Hayley Cura, Tamara Jewett, um, Just looking down through this list to see what other names I should pick out. If you've got any, feel free to throw them in. Um,
I've got to look it up. I don't even have
uh,
it on me.
and then on the
Can
men's side, Patrick Lange, Rudy von Berg, Gustav Iden, Kristian Blummenfelt, Leon Chevier, Matthew Marquardt, Christian Hogenhaug, Trevor Foley, Matt Hansen, Robert Klein, Chris Lefferman, Antonio Benito, Ben Canute, Daniel Beckergaard, Cam Worth, Matt Burton, Robert Wiliwiecki, whose name I really struggle with, Casper Storms. Um, and then it just keeps going, name after name. Andrew Horsfall Turner,
Yeah,
The
Ben
Ledge,
Hamilton,
friend of
Nick
the
Thompson,
podcast,
Jaron
Luke
Osborne.
Matthews.
Is there who else? I did see somebody else that I was interested in on the men's list. I think you've probably named them all. Kieran Lenders is another one who did that incredible
Yeah,
race where he came second to Christian in Frankfurt last year, I think it was. Uh,
yeah.
the only just on the women's because I do there's a few like Regan Holyoake is the one who she won Ironman New Zealand this year. Steph Clutterbuck, incredible swimmer. Tamara Jewett, yeah, great. Sarah Svensson, really good athlete. Teresa Adam sort of seems to have taken a bit of a break, but she was so dominant a couple of years ago, so that's another exciting, interesting one to see. But man, there's I Kasper Stepaniak's the other one, the young Polish guy who's had a really good couple of years. So yeah, man, this is fire. I mean, honestly, that first list, I'm like Patrick Lane, Rudy von Berg, Gustav Iden, Christian Blummenfelt, Leon Chevalier, Matthew Marquardt, Christian Hogenhug, Trevor Foley, Matt Hansen, Robert Callan, Chris Lefferman, Antonio Benito, Ben Canute, Daniel Beckergaard, Cam Worth, Matt Burton, Robert Ilowachecki. Like that is ridiculous.
It's like a world championship list, isn't it?
It's
Yeah.
outrageous. And then same thing with like not as deep with the women's, but I mean, I think you're potentially looking at the Kona podium and the top three names
Yeah,
that like
agreed.
Kat Matthews, Taylor Knibb, Chelsea Sodaro, like straight away, they're three. I'd be like, if any of those three were on the podium, I think the only one I'd probably add to that is Lucy Charles. But like, it's just, whew, man.
No Lionel Sanders though on the men's side.
Yeah, it seems like he got sick after.
Yeah, he said the night after Oceanside he started getting sick and he's had a bad cough ever since. And he said he needed every session between those races, so he's gonna fully recover and then just come back on the start line in St George, which fair enough, fair enough.
Mm. So, the first thing I want to talk about before we actually get into the nitty gritty of this, I want to talk about the Taylor Knibb of it all. The Taylor Knibb, and I touched on it when we were talking about T100, but so Lucy Charles's manager was. I saw this while I was watching the T100. Sort of got interviewed during the race and said basically that the personal reasons that Taylor Knibb didn't race Singapore was because she didn't want to come to Singapore because she's on the start list for Ironman Texas. And this was something that we had heard. I didn't expect to see somebody go on a live broadcast and say it, but it's out there now. And here we are. The start list is out. She's on it. So it sort of seems maybe like it's true. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are it shows that Taylor Knibb as an athlete has more clout than the PTO does as an organization at this point. Now, her ability to just be able to say, no, I'm not going to race that race, I'm going to race this race, and not particularly get any pushback or come back from that. That is my thought.
Do you think? I mean, I think we've had this discussion offline and maybe in the WhatsApp group a little bit because my thought, and again, this isn't a Taylor Knibb thing. This is a strict, legit. The contract should be taken away if this is true. And look, if it is personal reasons, because look, something similar happened with Paula Finlay. She couldn't get the green card, whatever it was, and couldn't leave the states. Did Oceanside, which I still find a bit weird. But if Taylor has just chosen not to and is now doing this instead, I think the optics are so bad, and I don't think that. I think the opposite. I don't think that T100 needs Taylor Knibb. I still think the race series can be absolutely fine without her. In fact, probably more entertaining, although based on what Kate did the other day, maybe not. Um, I just think the optics look really bad, but it also shows because I know there was some confusion because she's the current 70.3 world champion, whether she got a slot for Kona. Now, I believe that has been taken away. That used to be a rule, and it's not the case anymore. So she actually does need to validate, I think, as a podium, as second place, because she was second in Kona last. No, yeah, she didn't race in East last year, so she has to qualify basically, I think, and that's probably what it's about. All three of them will be going for a slot, I suppose. I don't know how many slots there are, but I think the optics don't look great. Personally, I'm very excited that Taylor Knibb is on the start list. I'm really keen to see what she'll do at an earlier Ironman. Uh, but I do find the optics a little bit iffy.
Yeah, I do. I mean, it just shows that if you've got, it shows the toothlessness of these contracts, doesn't it?
Um, yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. I'm curious to hear what happens, what the penalties, if there are any. I don't know. I guess it'll never be made public. I've heard whispers of what it is. I'm not going to say them until until I sort of know that they're confirmed. But let's talk about like it. Move to the side. Cool. Okay, it is what it is. Let's talk about the women's race. What do you see happening? What are you excited for? All that stuff.
On the women's side of things, yeah, I mean, I'm very excited to see how Taylor Knibb goes. I think we're gonna see this is a year where she's really gonna target that Kona win. Because obviously at the moment, as things stand, we're cycling a 2 year Kona cycle, and the women's it's the women's turn this year. So seeing where she's at, she's obviously gonna try and qualify now. And I see a battle between her and Kat Matthews, which I think is going to be really quite exciting.
It does look for an interesting race because Taylor's going to be ahead of them in the swim. We know that Kat's a super strong cyclist. Uh,
Yeah.
Not as strong as Taylor Knibb, though, I don't think. And then, yeah, you've got Chelsea Sodaro who can run like the clappers. So that it really, I just see it's almost going to be this weird sort of moving puzzle of how it actually sort of finishes up. The name on this start list that I'm most excited about, and I always love to throw the uncertainty mystery, is Tamara Jewett. Just
Yeah, I was
because
about to say that as well.
we've seen her, she was basically invisible last year, right? She
Yeah.
just didn't really feature. Uh, we know that as the distances get longer, the importance of the run becomes greater. So I'm very keen to see what she can actually do. I mean, she might just come and just sort of, yep, okay, she's there and she comes third or fourth or whatever and doesn't really feature. I hope not. I hope we see, I hope we've sort of just see this incredible run that we've seen her do at short course replicated at long distance. I don't think she could beat Taylor Knibb. I think that Taylor Knibb is too well rounded. And I say that weirdly because she's a very good cyclist and biker, but I think her run is still very, very solid. I don't think she'll be able to bridge that gap. I don't think Kat Matthews will be able to bridge the gap to Taylor either. I think she'll get dropped probably on the bike and then not be able to make up the deficit on the run. I mean, maybe
That
we
is
did
a hell
see.
of a runner, though, man.
I just was saying out loud, and I thought actually I regret what I'm saying because she nearly
Yeah.
she did bridge the gap at 70.3 worlds, and if the course had been longer, she actually probably would have caught her. So I actually said that I went, I regret saying I
Yeah.
regret saying that.
Yeah. I think in this race, I think yes, there'll be a deficit on the swim. I could see them coming back together on the bike, and I certainly see Kat challenging Taylor for the run. I think I agree with you that Tamara Jewett it'd be really interesting to see where she ends up, and she could have real effect on this race. But for me, I see two athletes' names standing out to be fighting for this victory, and that's Kat Matthews and Taylor Knibb.
Not Chelsea Sodaro. You just because I mean I think she should be up there as well.
Less so
Yeah,
for me. Yeah.
yeah, that's fair. I'm
Again,
yeah.
she could be there, and she could be really impactful on the race. I just think Kat and Taylor, it's going to be a race, and I hope they're both going full on to make this a race, which I'm sure they are. And I think if they do, it could be a race for the ages.
It's both of their first races for the year. Neither have done a seven. In fact, I think it's Chelsea's as well. None of them have done a 70.3 or anything yet. They didn't do Oceanside, so
Yeah.
it's going to be good. What about the men's race, mate? I know.
Ugh. It's a movable feast. Patrick Lange is going into this race. He's got something to prove. He's the defending champion. Didn't have the best race in Oceanside, and I just think was it Oceanside or was it South Africa?
It was
It was
Oceanside.
South Africa. Was it
Oceanside.
Oceanside?
It was
Yeah.
Oceanside.
Anyway, don't know why my brain just did that to me. Didn't have the best race there. I think he's going to come in with something to prove. Patrick Lang, on a good day, on his best day, you know, he's nigh on unbeatable because of his ability to manage that deficit and then have this amazing run. I love your facial expression though.
But Kristian Blummenfelt's racing, mate.
Kristian Blummenfelt is racing, but he got beaten by Lionel Sanders in Oceanside. Obviously, he's taken a
Yeah, but
step.
didn't he spend 20 minutes on the side of the road with a
Yeah,
flat
I know.
tire?
He had a 14-minute puncher or something. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Again,
Maybe he should focus on going to try and win his first WTCS before he focuses fully on
actually,
Ironman.
you might not realize this, mate, but he actually won the WTCS World Title in
Oh, did he?
2021. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
A lot
Oh,
of
right.
people didn't realize that.
Ah,
Yeah, there's again, it's a feast. It's a feast. Like Leon Chevalier had a really bad race. He was really off in South Africa. I hope that he's able to back up and deliver the goods here because he's an athlete that I always just see so much potential in. But there's so many names to get excited about, and I am going to try to focus away from just those first names because, like Rudy von Berg was really strong in Oceanside. We've seen how good he is at Ironman racing. Gustav Iden, I don't think he's quite back yet. I think he's still on the trajectory. So
but
I'm
the curve is going in the right direction, which is really nice to see because there was a concern for a
yeah,
while that it
he might be
might
done.
not go in that direction. You know what I'm really interested in rooting for in this race?
Who's that? Andy Horsfall Turner?
Well, obviously, but
Yeah,
I'm really a different. Obviously, Andy's gonna go and have his race. He's gonna.
Daniel
I think we
Beckergaard.
showed
It's
him.
always Daniel Beckergaard, isn't
Yeah, of
it?
course it's Beckergaard. Of course it's Beckergaard. Of
I
course
love
it's
you, Daniel
Beckergaard.
Beckergaard. He's the man.
He's my man
I'm
now, and he lives in the Alps, which is my favorite place in the world now. He's found his peace, living in the mountains and going and doing all kinds of different things. So yeah, to see Daniel come back and have a race, I'd be well up for it.
the one that again, the big question mark for me is Trevor Foley because
Yeah.
he's come out recently being quite public that he's had some mental health struggles post Kona, where you know, I actually went into that as I think one of the favorites with his run. The way that this kid can run is ridiculous. If he's got that stuff resolved, you put him in that race with Christian, with Patrick. Yeah, I think he could make some fireworks. He's got Matthew Mark, I can never pronounce his last name, Matthew Marquardt. Super strong swimmer. This guy will be at the front of the race very, very early on. Uh, man, there's so much in this race to get excited for. Kasper Stepaniak, as I said, the young Polish guy, has had some really, really great results. He's another guy who's on that sort of upward trajectory, and I love what he does for, the popularity of the sport in a country like Poland, which is actually quite triathlon mad, weirdly. It's again one of those like countries you don't always see as a big triathlon place, and then you realize that they absolutely love it over there. Kasper Stornes, another guy.
Um,
This is going to be his Ironman debut, I think. One of the
yeah,
Norwegians.
hoping
So,
that Patrick Lange gets over that abductor because he said he had a bit of an abductor issue, didn't he?
mm.
So hopefully that it doesn't compromise his race going in.
It's worth noting as well that he only has to ratify. And I know that they
Yeah.
will say they go there to win, but I don't care what anybody says. I know that they want world titles, and I'm sure he wants the Pro Series as well. But maybe after Oceanside, he's also gone, okay, I don't really want to do that many extra races to chase the series. I just want to get this slot secured and then focus on Nice because he was second in Nice 2 years ago. So he might want to move that up one spot. I'm just expecting Kristian to do this. I just think Kristian has a point to prove. He's going to be annoyed. He's a guy who gets angry about things. He will be annoyed about Oceanside. He'll be annoyed that there's no Lionel Sanders on this start list because I think he actually would have liked to race Lionel and smash him if he could. I don't know. But yeah, I think Christian's going to be pretty hard to beat at this race.
Yes, agreed. And I think it'd be really interesting to see how he goes, especially I think Christian and Lang, but with all those other names on that list, it's going to really shake things up and add a particular dimension of pressure to the whole thing. But yeah, go on, Andy. Go on, Andy. Go and get that qualification slot.
Well, mate, I think we're doing pretty well this week. I know that you've got to get going as well. So, if people want to find out more about talking triathlon, all that good stuff, where do they need to go?
If you want to support the show, jump on at patreon.com/talking triathlon. If you want to follow Tim, he's at T414 on Instagram, and I'm at bale.james85 on Instagram. Find us across all social networks, apart from Twitter, because it sucks. We're on Instagram as at Talking Triathlon, and you can also find us on Facebook. If you join the Patreon group, you'll get access to the monthly bonus episode and the social group, and we'll put you in the WhatsApp group if you so wish, which is really entertaining, and I've been loving it this week. And if you've got any comments or criticisms or any conversations you want to have, then and you're not in the Patreon group, then put in a comment underneath the YouTube video is the answer for you.
Just one last question. I know you need to go, and I don't want to hold you up too long, but I have to ask. Is the bunny making an appearance at Easter this weekend?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
of course, yeah, yeah, yeah. The demonic bunny
Yeah.
is the way I go. Luckily,
I,
they've lucked out so far.
I do remember you put up a video, and I know you got to go, but that video of you, are you in a dinosaur inflatable costume? You're scaring all the kids. I could see you doing something very, very, very similar to that. No, thank you very much, Jimbo. Yeah, all good. I don't know what else to say. You said it, YouTube, Patreon. We got to do a bonus episode soon, which I'm sure we'll do. But until next time, guys, thank you so much for listening. James Bale, appreciate you doing this so early. Talk to you later.
Cheerio.